rulings in the High Court and the Supreme Court regarding a couple of regarding the controversy that's been going on in Delhi between the LG and Delhi Chief Minister, and there have been judgments which are totally in favor of the Aam Aadmi Party government, of the Delhi government, and of the stance that Arvind Kejriwal has taken so far. But the media is trying to mislead people. It's trying to show as if that there is something in the judgment which is against the stance that Arvind Kejriwal has taken. That's not true. In fact, our stance has been vindicated. Let me explain to you what the whole story is. Firstly, we must understand that Delhi is not a union territory. Delhi is a national capital territory. There is an amendment made into the constitution which gives Delhi a legislature that has the same rights as any other legislature and can rule and work on all the things that are in the state list and the concurrent list. The only three things that it doesn't have rights over are land, order, and police, which we all know that the LG controls them. This arrangement has been going on. We've been trying to demand for statehood, but that's a separate issue. Within our rights is the most important right, which is to appoint bureaucrats. When we appoint bureaucrats, when we transfer bureaucrats, we are able to control their performance, get the right man for the right job. The LG tried to take away this right of the elected representatives of the people. The people cannot be cheated in this manner. There's another thing that we have to note here. One is that the LG does not have the right to appoint bureaucrats. The bureaucrats are appointed by the minister. It's sent to the LG. The LG has to approve. If he doesn't approve, he sends it back to the Council of Ministers. If the Council of Ministers still sticks to the same decision and the LG still disapproves, then the dispute goes to the president. But in instance, is LG given the permission to appoint bureaucrats? He cannot do it until he has the concurrence of the Council of Ministers. But the LG did it. He went ahead and appointed a chief secretary directly, and he had no business doing it under the constitution or the rules of transaction of business. Both very clearly stated that it was not. When the LG right started a controversy, a letter was leaked and the LG, which said that the Delhi government had reservations on the bureaucrats' conduct. Now, this should not have been public domain, but it went into public domain and was made a controversy, and the Delhi government was forced to defend themselves. They were forced to explain how the bureaucrat had tried to lobby for the discoms. And the whole purpose of this controversy was to detract from what had actually happened, which is that the LG had taken away the rights of the legislature, which the constitution did not allow him. When the Aam Aadmi Party government did what they are technically supposed to do, they complained to the president. The LG went to the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Ministry of Home Affairs issued a very, very surprising and shocking notification. It changed the constitutional rights of the LG. It added services to land and police. It had no business doing so because a change in the constitution can only be done by an amendment in the parliament. So the the MHA notification actually seeks to take away the rights of the citizens and their elected representatives in the parliament to make laws. It tried to pass a law on its own. It undermined the Prevention of Corruption Act, which allows the Anti-Corruption Bureau to act against any government official in its geographical jurisdiction. It undermined that too. That was really shocking. The Aam Aadmi Party government was considering what they should do, but a very, very amazing thing Arvind Kejriwal always says, that when you do the right thing, the heavens come in support of you. A constable who had been arrested in Bureau went to the High Court to seek bail, and he cited the notification as his justification. He said the ACB had no right to arrest him. The High Court of Delhi totally dismissed this claim. They said the Anti-Corruption Bureau has full right and full jurisdiction to act against any government employee in the geographical NCT area which it operates. And therefore the MHA notification was nullified by the High Court. The second thing it also said was that the whole notification was that LG cannot be given powers which are there as powers of the legislature enshrined in our constitution. This was an order, my friends, a written order. This was not an opinion. This was not an observation. It was an order by the High Court. Having received this order, the Delhi government went about business as usual. It started appointing bureaucrats. Yes, it held a Vidhan Sabha session, because when the bureaucrat appointment is taken away from the Delhi government, it will not be able to provide water, electricity, roads, any of the things, because the teams will not be reporting to them anymore. It has to go back and it has to tell the elected representatives to deliberate on this issue, which they did. And the Delhi Vidhan Sabha passed a resolution which was an opinion. We understand the law. The Vidhan Sabha was not making a law here. It was passing an opinion that the MHA notification is not in line with what the Constitution says. It is against the spirit of the Constitution. It is against the rules of transaction of business. It is against the Prevention of Corruption Act, and therefore it should not be heeded. This was the opinion of the Delhi Vidhan Sabha, which they are entitled to have. During this discussion, MLA Adarsh Shastri also made another important observation, or rather, an kind of a suggestion, that sooner or later, state governments should have the right to impeach the governor. This is not a new thing. When the constitution was being made, it was deliberated very, very seriously, but it got left out of the constitution. Subsequently, members were appointed commission, which said that governors should not be appointed, not serve at the pleasure of the president. Governors should be appointed by a committee, and there should be the power with the legislature to impeach their governors. So it's a constitutional reform discussion which Adarsh Shastri was talking about, and every MLA recommend reforms. If we don't reform, how will we change? It was just a recommendation about a reform, which again the media tried to miscommunicate. Then the third miscommunication that the media did at this point was that they tried to allege that AAP is appointing some CWG tainted bureaucrats in Delhi. Now please understand, Delhi is an NCT. It is not a state, and therefore it doesn't have a state cadre of its own in bureaucrats. It takes from the central pool of bureaucrats which are assigned to it. So when the central government picks up a bureaucrat from Goa and gives them to Delhi, we have no choice but to take that bureaucrat. What we were demanding is the constitutional right to appoint the bureaucrat to the portfolio that we think is best. We do not have the right to remove bureaucrats from service. The bureaucrats that work with us, they can only be removed by the central government if they are corrupt. So if they're corrupt, the BJP, please approach the BJP, get them to remove them. We strongly suggest that any bureaucrat who we have any proof of taint against should be suspended. Why is the central government not doing their job? That's one point. So they try to confuse us in this as well. But our fact still remains the same. We have the right to appoint the bureaucrats allotted to us to the portfolios of our choice, and we will exercise this right. After the discussion in the Vidhan Sabha, it was agreed that the Delhi government should take necessary steps, and it took the necessary steps. It approached the chief ministers of various other states who have given its support to what the Delhi government is doing. It took the advice of lots of former solicitor generals who all spoke in support, lots of constitutional experts, and therefore it put an case in the High Court against the MHA notification. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs went to the Supreme Court and filed an SLP against the High Court judgment of 21st May. It's quite shameful that the central government is intervening in a constable's arrest case. But they had to, so they did. The Supreme Court has not passed any ruling, any stay, or granted any prayer asked by the MHA today. So when the media channels are misleading you, you must be aware what really happened. And what really happened was pretty simple. The Supreme government time, they've given them 3 weeks to respond to the MHA claim that the notification should survive. But they also said, and which is a more important thing, that the Delhi government's case in the High Court should proceed. And the High Court should go ahead and take whatever steps necessary. But they advised the High Court that it must not form a judgment based on the 21st May judgment. It should be totally neutral in its observation, which the High Court will anyway be. So it is actually a big win for us, because the Supreme Court has asked the High Court to seriously consider our case. So it was a win for us. The MHA failed to get a stay. It was a complete failure for their attempt to try and get the judgment of 21st May reversed. The second thing was the High Court case, which was another big win for us. In the High Court, all that we have been saying so far is that the Constitution allows us to appoint bureaucrats. We pass them to the LG. If the LG has a problem, he comes back to the Council of Ministers. If there is still a problem, go to the President. We've been saying follow this rule. The LG cannot appoint. The ministers will appoint, he can say yes or no. This is what we've been fighting for, and this is what the Delhi High Court granted us today. The Delhi High Court said that this is exactly the way business must be carried forward. It also asked for more details. It has given the 6 weeks time to come up with a response on how business has been carried out so far and how it should be carried out in the future, and it will then continue the case. But as of now, we have got a victory. We have been told we can continue doing business as it was always being conducted. And the High Court has not yet opined on the Anti-Corruption Bureau's rights. So till the High Court picks up that matter or discusses it, the 21st May judgment stays. The 21st May judgment, which gives the Anti-Corruption Bureau the full right to prosecute any government official who has been guilty of a crime of taking bribe, who's been guilty of corruption, continues. So friends, it's a big win for Arvind Kejriwal. Today in the Supreme Court as well as the High Court, the courts have stood by Arvind. They have stood by the Delhi government, and they have said that the constitution is right when it says that the legislature can appoint its bureaucrats. Of course, the case will continue and there will be many aspects to it, but do not get misled by the media, which is trying to say that there was some kind of setback for Aam Aadmi Party government. It wasn't. Look at